Hi everybody, so welcome to the May Beauty Favourites and Updates video, which is going to be the biggest review I think ever. Huge amount of products to get through here, so this is going to be a bit of a marathon, so I strongly advise lots of cups of tea, biscuits, chocolates, anything else, stronger coffees, which is what I'm certainly going to need to get through this before you settle down and watch this one, because you will need refreshments. But it's been a good month. It's been a very good month, especially for those eyeshadows. But anyway, let's go straight into this full review and not start talking about the products coming up later on. And if you're new here, hi, my name's Hannah. I'm 48. I'm not a professional, just somebody who loves makeup and beauty. And here on my channel, I show you the latest releases, my favourite looks, and give you any beauty news you might be interested in. If you think you'd enjoy this content, I would be delighted if you did subscribe to my channel. With lots of people tuning in and not subscribing, it really would be so very helpful if you did. It really helps me a lot. But if you're already subscribed, welcome back. I really appreciate every single one of you. Anyway, that's enough about me. Let's dive straight into this mammoth review. I'm going to start this section with devices. Now, one device I was sent at I think it was about 6 weeks ago now, was this brand new one here, the Zip Dot. And maybe I'm sad about this, maybe I'm not, but I haven't actually been able to test this out more than the first week I got it, because this is for when you have a blemish or a spot, which I luckily don't seem to get. I just seem to get about once a month, one spot warning me something is on the horizon. And for some reason I haven't this month, so I haven't been able to test it since. But what I was able to do when I first got it was I already had one that I could test it with. So you use this cream, which is called the Clear Gel, which contains ingredients which helps to speed up the recovery and healing of any sort of blemishes. And then you use this, which is a very brief 90-second treatment, but it's an intense treatment, more intense than the Zip Halo. The Zip Halo being my most trusted and most used device ever. And you set this for 90 minutes directly over the spot or blemish which you're trying to treat, and then you go around in circles. And you can do this up to 5 times a week, but you can specifically treat that area. I very much doubt you'd need to do it 5 times in a week. I think a few times, and you should notice it's really doubled up the healing. This is the only device alongside the sort of cousin of this one from Zip, which is the Zip Halo, that has nano current and microcurrent, so it really doubles up. But this is more powerful than Zip Halo. If you are somebody who's prone to blemishes all the time and you're dealing with these sort of acne issues, you can run the five treatments a week treatment plan, which is different with this. So if you go on their website, you can check out all the details of the way you can use this. You can make this a regular addition to your routine, like I do with the Zip Halo, and you can use it 5 times a week. Try to keep inflammation down, try to stop anything brewing, and try to catch them when they arrive. But for me, I'm keeping this in my drawer for when I do get that occasional one, and I'm going to go on it instantly. And I can't wait to give you more feedback for when that happens. Sort of, because I'm sort of happy I haven't had one to deal with. But the minute I do, I will be using this and letting you know. And Zip have got, well, they haven't just given me a discount code. I've always had a discount code with Zip. If you use the code HANHALO, which I'll pop on the screen now, you'll get 10% off this and everything on the website. And I absolutely recommend Zip. As I've said many times on this channel, the Zip Halo is my most used device. It's my most trusted, my most successful, the one I've had the most results from. So I'm delighted to have this in addition. Even though it won't get much use from me, I still think it's really good to have it, because who wants a blemish when it turns up, and who doesn't want to get rid of it quickly? So, and also you can choose colours. They've got 3 colours, I think. One of them is yellow, I've got the purple. I can't remember what third colour is, but anyway, you can choose a colour as well. So that's another new treat from Zip. And now moving on to a company that only recently reached out to work with me, which I was quite delighted about, because it is Glamnetic press-on nails. Now, if you've been watching me on my channel, you will know that I'm always wearing press-on nails. I've been wearing them for years. I've been buying them from a really talented lady on Etsy who makes beautiful press-on nails, and I will still be buying those. But I've always wanted to try Glamnetics. I've heard so many people rave about them, but I thought they were only available in the US. In fact, they were only available in the US for some time, but they now have a website for the UK, which presumably is why they reached out to me. So they let me pick 2 different nails. I'm showing you 3 here that aren't the ones that they sent me actually, but I'll explain that in a minute. But this is the first set I've tried from them, and these are on my fingers 3 weeks later. Now I will be honest and say that I've had to reapply the thumb one about 3 times. Not within the first few days, but that's because I do have a problem with my thumbnail. I damaged it at the root of the base of the nail, so I do have a problem with that. And I'm right-handed. I don't look after my nails. I'm gardening with it. I'm washing up, scrubbing. I'm not very careful. I try to just carry on with my life as normally as possible wearing nails and not let them restrict me, which does mean they can pop off, and if they do I can just glue them back on. So one thing that I think is really good about Glamnetic is that they come with all different sizes. So you'll see here in the box you've just got enough for each hand, but when you open inside, in the back of here we've got all sorts of different ones, so you can find the right shape and size to fit you, but also it gives you spares, because I actually lost my little fingernail. I think they're the only 2 I've lost in those full 3 weeks, to be honest. This one I didn't lose, I stuck it back on. This one just slipped off, which might have been an application issue from my point of view, if that does happen. And I was just able to go straight into the box and find exactly the same size and put it on. So that's really good to know, because with my previous nails I didn't have extras and I just have to take them all off and start again if that happened. But this also comes with a glue and a nail file and a tool for pushing down the cuticles. So it's got everything you basically need in here. But I don't use the glue that comes in these kits ever. I always use this glue, which isn't Glamnetic. It's the Nail Bond, what's it called? NYK1. But I have picked up, because I'm so impressed with the Glamnetic nails, I have picked up these 3 using the discount code they've given me. But I paid for these myself, and that should give you an idea just how much I'm enjoying the nails I've got, to have gone back and bought 3 sets. And I've also got their glue. So I'm going to, when these come off, or when I decide to take them off, I will definitely try their new glue, so I can report back to you on that. But the reason I've gone back to buy more is that I absolutely love them. I think that they fit beautifully. I love the shape. This is short almond I'm wearing at the moment, a shape that I think really elongates my hands, and I think it's just a beautiful shape, which the lady I buy from with Etsy doesn't have, so that's a real bonus for me. I wouldn't say the sort of really fancy colour stories that I love to buy are on the Glamnetic site. They do have them, but they're not quite as interesting as the ones I get from the Etsy page. But I think these are very, very glamorous, very artistic, very elegant. I think they're beautiful actually. They're very strong. They didn't seem quite as thick as the ones I'm used to, and I thought, oh, are they going to snap? But not a single one has snapped or chipped or anything. Not at the base or not at the tip, not one of them. They've all stayed in place, apart from those 2 which needed fixing, which is completely normal, by the way. That happens with all press-on nails for me. And a lot of you have asked me to do a demonstration on how I apply press-on nails. I don't really want to do that because I don't follow the rules strictly, and I'm not very kind to my nails, and that's why I haven't done it. But I'll give you a very quick overview on how I do it. So when it's time to take these off, if I want to be kind to my nails, I can dip them in water for about 20 minutes before I take them off. But if you add a little bit of coconut oil or castor oil, that can really help as well. And then I just use the tool that you use for pressing your cuticles down, and I just put it on this underneath the nail on the sides and just sort of lever up, and they just sort of pop up and off. I also find another tip is a good day to do it is on hair wash day, because when you've been really digging your nails into your hair and shampooing your hair, you often find that some of the water might get underneath the nail, so that's a good day to do it. So just a little tip there, that really go for it with the shampoo on the day you want to. Not that they'll fall off on a normal shampoo day, they won't, but it's a good time to do it because it helps with the sort of getting them wet and prepared in advance, if you like. It makes it quicker. But sometimes I can be really lazy and I don't even do the soaking, and I just go straight in with the tool, and that's where I have actually upset my nails a few times, and I wouldn't recommend that, and that's why I didn't really want to show you my particular way of doing it. But I'm always in a rush, as you can imagine, with my job, to get on camera and to get things done and to film things, so I'd sometimes just have to rush and do it. So the other thing is to always, when you take them off, you need to just file off any excess glue, then use a cuticle device to push down your cuticle so you don't have any that are creeping up the nails. You've got a nice clean nail bed. Use something that actually cleans the nail surface as well, so a nail prep. You'll find those in lots of places. I'm not sure if Glamnetic sell them, they might do. Use some sort of nail prep so you've got absolutely clean nails before you start, and when you glue them, always do one nail at a time, always, because the glue, it's like super glue. It dries fast and it's super sticky. So do one nail, stick it straight on, hold it down. They say for about a minute, but I usually find 30 seconds is enough. And I also like to start by doing the little nail first and then move into the other hand and just sort of going through in this order and finishing with the thumbs, because it's quite tricky if you do one full hand when you've got a handful of long nails to then apply to the other hand. So it's a lot easier, if I find, if I do this, and so on. So that's just a little tip that I found. But I think that's about it. They're my main tips. So I hope that's been a bit helpful for everyone who's been asking me about how I do my nails. But if there's any other questions you've got, feel free to ask. But anyway, I am very, 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 very pleased with the quality of Glamnetic, and that's why I've gone back and bought more myself. But I did use my discount code, which I've written down somewhere for you. I've got 15% off, and the code is Han Beauty, so I'll put that on the screen. But all the discounts codes I'm discussing with you today are, and all the products I'm discussing with links are all in the description box below anyway, but it is on the screen now, so you can use that discount code, and hopefully if you'd like to try them, that'll be helpful to you. And if you do, I would absolutely love to hear from you how you get on with them. And now onto something that's a little bit different for this channel, but it's something that I personally use in my life. And so this company reached out to me and asked me if I'd like to try their product, and because I've bought so many products like it, I leapt at the chance. And they also offered me discount codes for you again, and they've kindly sponsored this section of the video. So thank you very much to Bob and Brad, who have sponsored this section. They have lots and lots of different massage devices. Can you guess what this one might be? This here is an optional extra, by the way, the strap down the middle, but I'll explain the whole thing now. So I am a little bit addicted to buying different massage products. I've got a foot massager that heats and pummels my feet. I've got muscle massagers for post-exercise. I've got a neck massager that heats and goes into the neck, and I'm always willing to try new ones. I did have one for a back that didn't work so well, so I got rid of it. I had a full one that sat behind me, like a full chair one, that didn't work so well either. So in other words, I'm a little bit addicted to getting these things because I have been doing a lot of weight training over the years, and also I'm in perimenopause, and if you are too, or you're in menopause, you'll know what I mean when I say we get a lot of aches and pains for no apparent reason, especially as the day draws out. And also I get a lot of back problems and stomach aches with my IBS and with hormones generally. So I tend to rely on these devices an awful lot for helping me and helping my pain levels, helping my general recovery. So when Bob and Brad reached out to me with a number of different products I could try, this was the one that absolutely leapt out to me. So this one is the back massager with heat. So this is for pain relief, for deep tissue kneading electric massage pillow for shoulders, backs and legs. So this one needs to be plugged in. So I'm not going to pull it because I've just plugged this in. And this is the on button here, which is very easy to find if you've got it behind your back or in other places such as your stomach area, which it might not even say it's for. But this has been an absolute godsend for me with my stomach with IBS. In fact, the week I received this, I had one of my worst IBS flare-ups. And anyone who's got IBS, you'll know what I mean when I say after a really bad episode, you know your whole area feels like it's got scars. It just throbs from top to bottom, your whole sort of system. And it's so painful, and it can feel like that for a long time. I had a terrible flare up, and that's how my tummy felt for a good week, I'd say. So I was using, and my lower back. So I was putting this on my lower back and then pulling it over and using it across my tummy and holding it tight to my tummy and leaving it there for hours. And I was amazed at how comfortable and comforting it was. It's given me the heat and also given me that massage, which I think when you've got a very irritated digestive system, just moving things around and warming it all up was just so good for my tummy. So this was fabulous for me. Honestly, I love it. So I will actually take this off. This is an extra piece that you can add on for comfort. So it had actually moved a bit there. So this is the area where it sits for the back. So this is the bit that's touching you. So if you just want a bit of extra padding, you can add this in here. So that's the way it should look. It's just moved from the way I've been using it. And that sort of protects you a little bit because these can be quite sharp, the massages here. So if I press the button here, you'll see the function. So if I hold that down, it'll come on. And once it's on, by the way, that it's lit, but obviously you know it's on anyway. So if I take this off, that I keep this on normally, but I'll take it off so you can see them, because you can see them moving around. So as you press the button, it gives you different options. The next one, it's turning around in a different direction, so you can change the direction of the massage function. And when it first comes on, it comes on with this orange light, which means it's heated. But if you don't want it to be heated, you just want massage with no heat, you can press it again and then you get the blue light, which means you get the cool. I never went for that because I wanted the heat, but you might not want that, especially in the warm weather. You might just want the massage. So that's an option for you too. So they're the different options, and I've been using this on lower back. I can even slide it up and use it for my shoulders as well, because when you're sitting I use it when I'm sitting on my sofa, this can be sort of propped up behind you in many different ways. So for lower back, this can be fabulous. It's quite a powerful massage actually. It's quite surprising, especially if you're leaning back into your sofa. And then for the tummy, it's just beautiful. Honestly, I love it. And this actually comes with, oh, I'm just holding it on my tummy now. It's so lovely. Honestly, I love it. It comes with 2 years warranty as well. They've even got 24-hour online support. So the shape of this is described as a curved shape ergonomic design, 4 inches longer than ordinary massage pillows, which ensures better support and coverage for your neck and your back, effortlessly targeting your neck, back, shoulders, legs, calves or feet, whether you're at home or in the office. Obviously you need to plug it in, so you need to have a plug nearby, but that's the only thing. So for me, I keep it plugged in along with my heated blankets and other things I use to keep my tummy happy, and then I can use this, so you're getting that warmth coming through. Have I got the warmth actually on? Yeah, I have. It's hard to tell when my hands are so warm, but you really do feel the warmth when it's on your tummy or your back. But yeah, it is just fabulous. I've got on so well with it. And the type of massage is described as a 3D shiatsu deep massage system, if you're familiar with that. But yeah, fabulous. So this will help to soothe aching muscles, enhance blood circulation, and it will help with aches and pains in a number of areas. It will also switch off after 15 minutes, which is a safety thing. You can just keep pressing that button, which, like I said, is very easy to find. So if it's behind you, or in my case, maybe underneath a blanket on my tummy, I can just find the button without sort of moving out of place. So it's really, really easy to operate. So I've been given a 10% off code. You can buy this on Amazon, and my code will work on the US and the UK Amazon, but they are different codes. So my code for the UK is BobBrad401, which I'll pop on the screen now. And my code for the US is BobBradBack. You get 10% off, because this costs around £57. I think £57.98 was the price when I looked at the UK Amazon. So it's around the £57 mark. So you will get 10% off with that, but I strongly recommend it. It's a great addition to my massage tool collection. And I'm keeping this right by the side of me, and I'm never going to let it go. In fact, I think I'll be taking this one on holidays with me. Maybe not on flights, because it'd be a bit heavy, but when we do UK holidays, I think this will be coming with me because it's a godsend. So once again, thank you to Bob and Brad for sponsoring that section of the video. Now let's move on to the next product. So that's enough of devices. I'm now moving into skincare, and the first thing I'm going to show you is this one from Pat McGrath. So this is the Divine Rose 001 Hydrating Glow Cream. This is absolutely gorgeous. The only complaint I've got is it doesn't smell of rose. I wish it did. I have actually heard people saying they can smell a faint rose smell, but I absolutely can't. And I use a lot of rose creams, and I know how a rose cream can smell. This either I've got a dodgy one, or it's very faint. I can't smell it. But the cream itself, I'll just show you a little bit. I've got my spatula out here. This is a very lightweight formula, very refreshing. And what I really love doing with this is using it as my summer or spring and summer primer. You'll see now how quickly this absorbs. It gives you a lovely glow. You can see the glow there. Very refreshing, very cooling, and I found that my makeup sits beautifully when I use this. So instead of using a primer, which is what I normally do anyway, I tend to go for either a moisturiser instead of a primer, or a moisturising primer. I've been using this one. I've also been using the Pat McGrath toner, the rose toner, or the essence, I can't think what it's called now. It's in my skincare bag, but I've been using that most mornings alongside with this, and the two of them together, my skin has absolutely loved it. And I have actually had a few comments recently about how my skin looked good, and I wonder if changing my routine just that little bit, introducing that product, has made a difference. The other thing I added was something I talked about last month, which was the Glow Recipe Toner. I can't think of the name of it now. I will get back to you on that, but that's the only thing I've changed. But I do feel like I've got really healthy skin at the moment, and they're the only real changes. I'm always testing out different skincare, so I can't say I haven't tried other skincare in the evening, because I have, but nothing that could have made any effect yet. Whereas this, I've been using it fairly consistently now for about 4 or 5 weeks, and the same with the Glow Recipe Toner. So maybe, and the Pat McGrath Essence, which I use in the morning, by the way. I use the Glow Recipe Toner in the evening. But yeah, absolutely love that. It is a bit pricey, but not more pricey than Tatcha, so it's really down to how much you think you want to spend on skincare. It's certainly not cheap, but for me, paying money for skincare does tend to bring the quality. And this certainly is quality. It's gorgeous. I really love it. And on to 2 SPFs that I've been trying out this month from Violette. And these are beautiful, absolutely gorgeous, especially this one. But what's a really good thing about both of these is these cover your skincare, your primer, and your SPF. So you can basically just put a milky toner down and go with one of these and you're done. Apart from with this one, you don't have vitamin C in it, so you might want to go in with vitamin C after your toner and then this. This one includes vitamin C, so it's literally toner and this, then it's makeup, which means you are skipping, like for me, I always have toner, then vitamin C, then some sort of moisturising base, then SPF, then primer. This is just toner and this, and it does all those things. It gives you a big glow, this one, so I wouldn't recommend having this if you don't want a glowy, slightly tacky finish. It's absolutely fine for me because I go on top with my makeup. I love the glow that comes through. I love the protection it gives me. I love the way my skin feels. I mean, when I said my skin's improved, I've also been adding this into my routine, but I haven't used it as consistently as Pat McGrath, which is why I'm not going to claim it's changed my skin at the moment, but I have used them both quite a lot. So yeah, absolutely love this one. And this one has a deep rose smell, a real rose smell, by the way, not like the Pat McGrath one. So this one is my complete favourite. This one is SPF 50, and the title of this, by the way, is the SKINSCREEN. It is pricey, it's around the £50 mark, but you're getting all of those things in one. So if you add up the cost of your vitamin C's and everything else, it's not bad at all. And this one, which is called Supreme Screen, again, it doesn't have a nice smell. In fact, I don't like the smell of this. That's the only issue I have with it. But it's beautiful on the skin. It's so smoothing. This one is less greasy, so it's a slightly better option from a grease point of view. So if you wanted to wear either of these alone with nothing on top, no powders or anything, I'd probably go with this one because it's less greasy. But I say greasy, I know it's a horrible word to use, but I do find them both a little, no, I find the first one a little bit too oily for me if I was going to leave it. But like I said, I was going with powders and things anyway. But if I was going to go for one of them without powders, if that day ever happens for me, it would be this one. But I'm really enjoying both of them. It's just the smell on this one, and it doesn't have vitamin C. So if I was going to choose one, it probably would be the first one I've shown you, but at the same time, I like the formula of that one maybe a tiny bit better in the way it feels. The other product, which I haven't tested enough to give you enough information really, but I have recently picked up the Violette spray. So this is a top-up spray. I think it's called SPF Reapplication Mist. So this is another SPF 50. So these are all SPF 50. So I've tried this. So I'm thinking on holiday, I can just spray this on my face and top up. But this is so sticky. This is ridiculously sticky. Now I don't expect a top-up spray to be sticky because I don't want to be powdering again, but this has to be powdered. So I don't like that. I will take it on holiday because I want to get my money's worth, but I won't be repurchasing. So that's a shame for that one. But I have also been using this one from Kopari. And this is the one, if I give it a shake, there we go, it brings the glow. Can you see? This one went viral. I did a shorts reel on this if you want to see me using it. This does give a glow and it does have a bit of a tacky finish, but nowhere near as much as the Violette, by the way. And I also have to powder down with this, just not quite as much. This one actually can be used as a setting spray and a top-up spray. So if for some reason you're not using SPF, or maybe you've just used a tiny bit of SPF, maybe not a full dose, if you're using something like a product I'm about to show you, the Merit SPF, what's the full title of this? Tinted Mineral Sunscreen from Merit. So if you're using that as your foundation base, you might not have put on enough to cover you fully with your sunscreen. If it depends how you apply it, you can do that, which I have done and tested, and it works. But if maybe you've only just put a little bit on because you want the tinted effect, but you also want a bit of sun protection, topping up with something like this and setting your look with it is a really good idea, because you're adding to that protection and hopefully bringing it up to the level you need. So I do think it's good for that, but because of that sticky finish, I'm not sure if I would use it as a setting spray. Personally, I would rather go with my SPF and all my bases and just use this as a daytime topper. I like the glow. I think it could be pretty on the body as well, but I hate a sticky feeling, so I'm not sure if I'd use it on the body yet. I have to maybe play around with that. But again, this is a good option for on the face as a daytime topper, and it's nicer than the ultraviolet. So as I was just looking at the Merit, I'm now going to move from skincare into base products. So this is one of the ones I tested out this month. I was lucky enough to be sent this prior to release and really give it a good test. The one I'm showing you now is actually shade 30, because when I showed it to you, I think it was 26 was the shade I showed you. So I've gone for 30, which is the lighter, even though it's the number suggests it's higher, but it's not. This is the cool, more cool tone. And this is the lightest in the shade range, and it's actually much more perfect for me. So if anyone saw my review of the Merit uniform and I thought it was a little bit too warm, the shade I picked up, 26, this one, number 30, is perfect, absolutely perfect. So if you're my skin twin and you're thinking of getting it, shade 30. If you're more neutral, 26 is very good. My overall view of this is that it wears well, it corrects, it gives light coverage. It's very, very skincare-like. It's very pleasant to use, very easy to apply, can be applied with fingers or a brush. I prefer the brush personally. The pump on it is not messy. As you can see, I'm not particularly getting in a mess there. It can dribble down the front actually a little bit. It might need to wipe it with a tissue, but it's nothing most foundations don't do, let's be honest. And overall, this is giving me SPF 50 and it's mineral. Some people might prefer that or worry about the way a mineral sunscreen would look. That's been the concern over the years, hasn't it? But this one, it's not too thick. It's certainly not giving a white cast. It blends out very nicely. It's not overly greasy. I do find it needs to be a little bit powdered down though, so it's not non-greasy, not for me anyway. I'm very particular about that, so some people might say it's not greasy, but I certainly have a bit of a tacky finish with this, enough to need powder. You might not, but my hair will stick to my face with this if I don't, to give you an idea. But at the same time, I always powder down, so that's not an issue in the slightest for me. And I love the fact that this is SPF 50 because it's that extra protection. So you could always apply enough of this, but you do need to apply quite a lot. I did about 4 pumps, I think I did, to get what I thought would be enough. And you can do it. Personally, I would go in with a bit of SPF and then this as well, just to be extra careful. Or maybe the spray, like we talked about, as a sort of insurance to make sure you've got that full coverage. But very, very, very nice product from Merit. Really enjoying that so far. And then another tinted product, but this time this is the Laura Mercier Tinted Blurring Matte Finish. Let me get the right title. Tinted Moisturiser Blurring Matte. And I've got this one in the shade 1C Cameo, my perfect shade. And this is stunning. If you saw my video saying best skincare, best base, best bronzer, this was in it. And I was actually using it alongside the Ultraviolet, which I showed you just now. This combination of these two is an absolute smash hit for me. This gives me the glow, the protection, the skincare, the hydration I'm looking for. And then this comes in and it helps to take down the glow a bit because it's more matte, but also it doesn't give you a flat matte finish, which I think is aided by the fact that I've got this underneath, which is giving me a big glow. And the two together, the matte gives you that really blurred out, perfect finish from this, but you still get a bit of a glow, and the combination is an absolute winner. This is correcting, it's long lasting, every time I put it on, I can promise you, I literally swipe it to start and I'm like, wow, I love it. Every time. It's just one of those products you just think, wow, this is beautiful, feels beautiful, looks natural. Even though it's a matte, it's perfecting, it's blurring, it's lightweight. You're going to get up to a sort of medium coverage with this, I would say. You can build it up a bit more. It looks great even by the end of the evening. It doesn't cake for me. I just think it is phenomenal, absolutely stunning. This and the tinted moisturiser that's not matte is also gorgeous, but I slightly prefer this. And combined with a glowy base, doesn't have to be that ultraviolet, you could go with any glowy base. For instance, I've got sat right in front of me now the Chantecaille Rose, I can never remember this name, Sheer Glow Rose Face Tint, something like that underneath it as well. Anything like that really would be really, really good, but absolutely love that one. And then the final, and I think it is final, yeah, final base product I tried was the reformulated MAC Studio Fix Powder Plus Foundation. Now, I've gone through 3 shades to find the shade that works for me, and the first 2 were the ones that the site recommended. They've introduced a number of more shades, so I think they've now got over 1 million shades. I'm slightly exaggerating, but not far off, honestly. They've got a crazy amount of shades. So I put in all the foundations that worked for me, bought the shade that was recommended. It was way too warm. And I was putting in cool toned foundations, such as Tom Ford Porcelain, for instance, which is, well, it's fairly neutral, but it is slightly cool tone. It's perfect for my skin tone. It's not remotely warm. And they gave me a warm foundation. So I tried it again, adding in more and more and more, and they gave me another recommendation. Again, was no good. So I decided to go for the shade in the Studio Fix liquid foundation that works for me. So this one is N4.5, and this pretty much works for me. It could still be slightly cooler. I think this, even though they've got like a bajillion different shades, why I can't get one that's really cool toned, I don't know. But anyway, this one does work pretty well. So if you're my shade twin, you might get on well with N4.5. These are also renewable. Now, I did actually find I do have the original formula. See, there's the renewable, so that's good. You save money with that. I do have the original formula, but I never really wore it because, again, I had the wrong shade and I never really used it enough over time to tell you which one's better than which. I think you need to speak to someone who's very much a MAC fan, which I am a MAC fan, but I'm not a particular powder foundation person, and I wasn't one of those people who used the original all the time, so I can't really tell you if this is better or worse. What I can say is I think it's a beautiful formula. I think that this is very easy to apply. You only need a light amount. One thing I'd say is do not go in with a very dense brush and pack it on, because it will look very powdery and cakey. Go in with a light fluffy brush and take a light and build it very lightly, and be particularly careful in this area here. But it's beautiful. You can use it as a sort of finishing powder as well, or you can use it as your foundation. And I think it's extremely quick and easy to use. It's very long lasting, and it doesn't seem to move around on the face. It sets down, and it's not too drying either, even though it's a foundation powder. So as long as I've got a base, again, like this one from Chantecaille, or the Ultraviolet that I just spoke to you about, a very hydrated base, that's a perfect way for me to start before I add something like this. It's no different to putting setting powder on top, really. So a light dusting of this, and you still get a really healthy glow coming through, but also it locks everything in, and it just doesn't seem to move around and move into lines and things. It's very complimentary. Really, really like it. It's also very affordable compared to lots of foundations on the market, and also it's refillable. So when you find your right shade, I highly recommend this one. But go into store and get a shade match would be my top recommendation if you don't want to do what I did and buy 3 before you get to the right shade. And one more powder to show you, which I don't actually have in the case. I've got it here in this here, which is where when I did my Prada highlight review, and I will be talking about the highlighter later in this review, this roundup. I bought the refills, and I bought a case to put them in because only the refills launched first here in the UK. And the one I like the most out of the 2 highlighters, I've actually put into the case that this came in, because I cannot stand this. I just cannot stand it. I don't want to use it. I've tested it and I doubt I'll ever use it again. but I have tried to like it, and I've tried to go on and use it, but it just does not work for me at all, this one. So I've taken it from the case. The case looks like this. So it comes in a very nice case. Sorry, you can see all my fingerprints on it because the highlighter's in there, which I have very different views on, which you'll see later. But this green powder, which is not supposed to show up as green, it's supposed to be a very sort of transparent finish. It does look green on me if I over apply. I say over apply, if I just go in for a bit more, it really cakes up in this area. It sits heavily and it looks awful. The only place it looked okay was under the eyes. If I put a very light dusting, that was it. So if you buy this purely to use to set under your eyes, you might like it. I don't think it's brightening enough for me to even think it's good enough for that, but I thought it set under the eyes, but the rest of the face, absolutely not. The full title of this is the Prada Reset Rebalancing Setting Powder. I just can't get on with it, I'm afraid. It's a massive fail for me personally, which is a huge shame because they cost a small fortune. So because this video is very lengthy and I'm filming it over a number of days, I'm cutting this up and you'll see me in different outfits, different days, different backgrounds. Sorry to be utterly confusing, but with the huge workload at the moment with different reviews, it's the only way I could do it. So I will now move you to the next section, which will be me on a different day. So see you there. So as you can tell, it is a new day, but I'm carrying on with the same video. I've actually changed my background as well, so it really does look very different. New look, new background. This is my new summer theme starting behind here. I had to get on with it because, I don't know, it's June tomorrow. I'm filming this the last day of May, and I'm feeling like it's time to bring out all the summer things. So around the whole of the house this morning, I took all my spring decor down and I've moved to summer. So this is my new summer. I say new setup. The only thing I've changed is the floral garland. That's the only thing I've changed. But anyway, let's get straight on with this review and whiz through this humongous pile of makeup which I have tested in May. So starting with the Armani cheek tints. So they launched these in the Shine formula. So this is the Tint Shine. I picked up 3 of these. My favourites of the 2 were these. I was actually sent this colour incorrectly. I was sent it 3 times. I kept trying to buy the Mauve from Look Fantastic. 3 times I ordered Mauve and 3 times they sent me this. And when I sent the first one back, they said I had to pay for delivery or something to send it back. Honestly, they made me so cross with it. But this shade I think will work quite well for me in the autumn. It's too deep for me. Really, it's shade 42S, but it's a nice sort of autumnal shade if I go lightly. But that one annoyed me with Look Fantastic. But these 2 are my favourite shades anyway. The pink has always been my #1 out of the Armani from the original formula, which was supposed to be more of a matte, but I always felt it was quite a glowy matte. Now we've got the Shine, which is definitely more of a transparent finish. You do need to build it up more to see the colour. It's particularly nice if you put it on top of a pink powder, or you can use the original formula and put this on top to bring shine as well. So there's ways you can play around with these. I think they're beautiful. I think they're as beautiful in a different way because you can use them differently. And my personal preference is to use these on top of a powder to give you that shine for that last finish. So really beautiful products, and I love them. And these definitely my 2 favourite shades. So the numbers on these, the pink one is number, gosh, I can't read anything these days. 53.5 is the pink. I think it was a hot pink, was it? And then the peachy one or coral one, 50.5. So 53.5 and 50.5. These numbers are so confusing. So anyway, I really like these. Now I've written down to review the Chanel Les Beige blush sticks. I picked up 2 shades in that, but I'm not going to say another word about them, literally because I haven't had time to really review them anymore. I did my original review with the Les Beige launch and I just haven't had time to go back into them. There's been so many blushes coming out. So I'm going to continue to use them throughout June and I will give you my final thoughts on them then. So I will say no more on those. My first impressions of them was that I really liked them, but they weren't going to be a favourite. I think they were just sort of, I like them, but they're not my favourite. But I could very well change my mind. So don't go by that. Let's skip over to the next one. So the next thing I'm looking at now, the Bobbi Brown Velvet Cream. What's the full name? The Pot Rouge Velvet Cream to Powder Blush. So I was almost originally going to tell you that I thought this was quite dreadful, because the first time I used it, I think it might be obvious from when I open it. Yeah, this one. Look how messy this looks. I found this really difficult to just get a little bit out because it said to just pat it on with your fingers. So I just went to swipe a little bit out with my finger and I got a big chunk of it. And then I tried to blend it into the back of my hand and it just was chunky and messy. It's almost like Play-Doh, but it's slightly not as firm. And I really didn't like it. I found it very messy and I didn't like the way it blended. But the next time when I tried this one, which does seem to be a slightly less loose formula, even though it's exactly the same, this one is the shade Soft Plum. The one I had the problem with was Peony. Look at the difference when I just sort of took a little bit from the Soft Plum. You can see it didn't come out in chunks. But what I did, because I was so wary of this, is I put this one onto the back of my hand, used a brush, blended it out on the back of my hand so it was really smooth, then went in, and that worked out brilliantly. So the moral of the story with these is if you do it exactly that way, happy days. Do not put your finger in and dab on, you get chunks and it's a nightmare. But possibly it's because Peony is the tricky one over Soft Plum. I do actually have a shorts reel of me putting Soft Plum on, so I'll just quickly play you that clip so you can see me applying it. Today I've got one of the new Pot Rouge Velvet Cream blushes from Bobbi Brown. And here I've got the shade Soft Plum. This is described as a 2-in-1 multitasker, so I can use this on my cheeks and my lips. So I'm going to use my Mario F4 brush and just swipe across the top there and see how much I pick up. This should have a matte finish. That's going on very nicely actually on top of cream. Blending out very quickly and very easily, without any sharp edges because it's blending out naturally, which is excellent. So I'll just connect it with my eyes here, giving me a very soft flush of colour. That's very pretty. I really like that finish, and it doesn't look like a really flat matte at all when it's sitting on top of a cream. It's got quite a nice glow. This is described as a velvety whipped formula, easy to build, blur and tap into any look. Well, so far I think that's exactly what I'm finding. I'm going to apply this quite heavily because I'm going to powder on top, so you can see how it looks when I've powdered it, which is something you wouldn't necessarily have to do. It's not giving me a very tacky finish at all. So there is how it's looking with powder on top. So now I'm going to try putting some on top of the actual powder. I've noticed as I swipe across this more, it's coming off a lot more bitty. Can you see that I've really picked up quite a chunk? And if I was to put that on my face, I would definitely have too much and it would be harder, especially to apply on top of powder. So I think what I need to do when it's like that is to put it onto the back of my hand and start working it into the back of my hand before applying it to the cheek. So when it's completely smooth with no bits, then go onto the cheek. And now see how this sits on top of powder. And it seems like it's working very nicely on top of powder. Immediately you see more pigment, as always, when it goes on top of a powder. But it seems to be sitting very nicely. So there we go, that's how it's looking calmed down on top of powder. A very natural flush and definitely giving me a healthy glow, so it's not a flat matte by any means. Now I'm going to put a bit of this on my finger and put it onto the lips. You can see straight away how smoothing this is because it's that velvet matte finish. And that's how it looks on the lips. So that's cheeks and lips. Very comfortable on the lips. Lovely and soft, very blurring, and beautiful on the cheeks. This is a fun formula, it really is. You just need to be aware that when you get this out after your very first swipe, you might get a real chunk of it. So you do need to work it into the back of your hand. That's the only criticism I would have for this, is you do need to be pretty careful. As long as you do that, I think it works really nicely. And I think this is a very pretty sort of natural makeup, but it is also blurring. What do you think? So I loved that one actually. I think it has a beautiful finish. It is a matte finish, but it's definitely not a flat matte. It's a very pretty shade, and then you can just put a bit of highlighter to bring that sparkle back, and I think it is very, very nice. Used correctly, it's a beautiful formula, but it is a little bit messy. So a lot of people might not like the way you have to get into the tub and get it out, but brush straight in. I didn't touch it with my fingers. When I did it the second time, I literally just swiped over with a brush and it worked very well. So it can be done. But it is a bit of an odd formula, so I think it's really nice, but I'm not 100% certain whether I would recommend it. Does that make sense? It's probably not overly helpful. I would maybe try one. If there's a shade you really like, try one. I wouldn't be put off at all, just be careful. So next onto the Chanel Les Beiges Bronzing Cream, the third reformulation of this, and the first time ever that they've introduced a shade that works for me. And this has been on my desk ever since. This is the lightest shade that they brought out. So this is SOLEIL Tan Light Bronze, and this is beautiful. I'm finally able to get involved with Chanel cream bronzers. They've never worked for me. They've always been too warm. So if you have fair to light skin, especially if you have cool undertones, this is going to work for you. This works as a contour and it works as a bronzer, and I've actually been using it as both. I've used it almost every single day since the day I first reviewed this as my contour. I love using it as my contour. It's so quick and easy. So I always do my contour after putting my foundation on. I do contour, then I do concealer, then I set with powder, and then I quite often use this then to go on top for bronzer. It sits beautifully on top of powder. It sits really nicely on top of cream. It works with sorry, all my products are rattling in there. It works both ways, on top of creams or powders, and it is absolutely perfect. It's not oily. I know that some people are saying it's not quite as good as the very first formula, which I don't have, but they're saying it's better than the second. I did say in my review this didn't have coconut oil in, which is what made the third reformulation so unpopular, because it was greasy. But I've since been told there is an ingredient in this which is just a term that we're not familiar with, which basically is another word for coconut oil. So that means that I don't know if this is accurate, to be honest, but I've been told it enough times to take it seriously. So if you're allergic to coconut oil, keep that in mind. But it's certainly not greasy, and I've heard a lot of people saying they much prefer this to the last formulation. So this is really, really good. When I say the third, it was the second that was one that upset everyone, wasn't it? This is the third. I think I said this was better than the third then. I'm getting myself all muddled. The first one was fantastic. The second one was the dreadful greasy one. This is the third one. And it's actually the same as the travel size. If anyone picked up the travel size bronzing cream, this is pretty much identical in formula and ingredient to that. So that was officially the third reformulation, and this is basically the same formula. So I got on very well with that one because I had that travel one, but it was just the wrong shade. But now we have this really good shade, and I've kept it on my desk and used it pretty much every single day. That'll tell you a lot, and it'll be staying on my desk. I want to use it and use it and use it. I really love it, actually. So it's definitely my favourite cream bronzer ever. That's where it is right now. I love it. So now onto the Haus Labs bronzer. It seems like forever ago that I was testing this. There's been so many products since, but I tested this one maybe a bit late for it to be in this month, but I did test it towards the beginning of the month. So this is in the shade Soleil Sand, which is fair. So I think this was the lightest. Now this one is not as cool toned as I would like. It's a very sort of chunky formula, and the shade of this, it isn't too warm, but it does read a little bit warm on me. So it's not a perfect shade, but it is a beautiful, beautiful formula. And I know that when I put this on, everyone who was watching did say that they thought it blended out beautifully and it looked really beautiful. So you see there how it's just blended out as I've blended that into my hand there. It's extremely smooth. You don't get any harsh lines. It just blends in. It's almost like a cream to powder finish. I don't know if it is, but it feels like that. It's like you're touching cream, and it blends in like cream, but it has the finish of a powder. It's a gorgeous formula. It's one of the nicest formulas I think I've tried. I'm just not a massive fan of the shade. It's just not quite cool enough. If you're in between cool and neutral, which I suppose I am, but I lean more cool. If you lean more neutral to warm, you probably get on quite well with this if you're fair. So I just would like them to come out with one shade lighter or slightly cooler, and I would easily buy it because I think it is a beautiful, beautiful formula. But I haven't really reached for it much since reviewing it because of the shade, which is a shame. And I won't be keeping it in my desk or in my drawer here. I will be putting it away, I think, just for comparisons with you, and maybe bringing it out now and again, I don't know. But for now, I can't stop using the Chanel one anyway, so I don't really want to. Plus, I've just tested out another one, which will be coming out in June, but you might have already seen it, and that's knocked all of the other powder bronzers out the window. But that's for next month. So we had the return of Nudegasm from Charlotte Tilbury, something I already had in my collection, but I was more than happy to pick up a new one because mine was getting a bit old and shabby. The formula has not changed at all in this. This is that sort of baked gel, isn't it? I don't know if it's, I went into this in my video. I'm not sure if it's actually baked gelée, but it is a baked gel formula. So I'm not going to go into the science of all that. What I can tell you is this is my #1 face palette. It was before I bought it recently, and it probably still is because it is gorgeous. And I love the fact that we have a cool tone, a true cool tone bronze shade here. This one is too dark for me, but what I like to do, which I did in my video, is contour with this, then sort of dip into mostly this with a dab of this to use as my bronzer, this one for my blush, and then this my highlighter. And then for the eyes, use this one predominantly for the crease, this over the first 2/3 of the lid, and this one in the inner corner of the eye and bringing it into that first third. And you can use this one to line. So you've got all your eyes, you've got your blush, your highlight, your contour, your bronze, all in one palette with a good size mirror, perfect for travel, and the shades just work together beautifully. And I love this shade here. This one is just glorious. Let me just do a quick swatch. Yeah, it is a beautiful, beautiful blush shade. Very, very glowy, so it's worth keeping that in mind because if you're using this as it is actually really a highlighter in a sense. So if you're using this and this, you get a very glowy finish, but that's how I like to do it, and I like the glow because it's a Charlotte Tilbury glow. So when you get Charlotte Tilbury products, you expect to get the glow, don't you? So I'm very glad I got this again, and if you haven't picked this up, this is back now, but it's back for a limited time, and it didn't come back for 2 years last time it went, so I don't know if it'll ever come back. And if it's still available, I would snatch it up because it might be gone forever. I really don't know, but it's definitely worth picking up. So next I tried the new Hourglass face palettes, the quads. I picked up 2 of these. I got Dawn and I got Sunrise because these were the only 2 that I thought would work for my complexion. And the one I prefer is Dawn. I think it is a beautiful, beautiful quad specifically for me, even though they're both very good on me, to be honest. I mean, Hourglass formulas are always a knockout, and these colours, very, very good, but the bronzer is too warm, which always seems to be an issue. And something that was very frustrating for me is when this launched in the US, there was the option to create your own palette, and they had a bronzer in the create your own palette that was cool toned. Well, it appeared to be, so I actually bought that as an individual because it's available as an individual. The shade is Diffused Bronze Light. So while I'm talking about these, I'll just very quickly show you what Diffused Bronze Light looks like. And this is the one I wished we'd had in the Dawn palette because they did release 5. So it would have been nice if one of the ones for fair skin had this in, because this one as well is too warm. It's just frustrating if you've got cool tone skin. It is really frustrating. But anyway, let me do a swatch for you of this. Now I have heard that this can be very different if you end up with too much of the white powder and not so much, look how that's changed, and not so much of the brown, then it's not going to be that good. Well, it still looks slightly warm, you know. But anyway, that is how that looks if you're wondering. And if I show you the Makeup by Mario bronzer, which I've just recently tested, which I think is a perfect cool tone for me. It's in the lightest shade. It's literally called Light. I'll swatch that next to it and it's still cooler. So maybe we weren't missing out on much at all. Here is the Mario and here is the Hourglass in the shade Diffused Bronze Light. So this looked like the most cool tone. I was told it was the most cool tone, that's why I had to try it. It's not that cool tone though. So even if we'd have had the option, we'd have still been annoyed. So there we go. Maybe we're not missing out after all. I would love to hear from you if you did create your own palette, especially if you're cool toned and if you've got that one and how you're getting on with it. So looking on the Hourglass website, it looks like all 5 that were launched are currently out of stock. So they obviously sold out. So you've got to join a wait list on the UK Hourglass. I don't know if that's the case in the US. I've got a feeling it is. They sold out like very fast. But if I was going to recommend any, it would be the Dawn one. So you can do your blush, your highlight, your bronze, and you can use this one here for your finishing powder, which is what it's for, and it's perfect for that. So this is something you can also do your eyes with these, because you've got the colour for the eyes. You can put the bronzer in the crease, just like I said with the Nudegasm from Charlotte Tilbury. So crease shade all over the lid, use this one to brighten in the inner corner, and then you've got your blush, highlight, bronze. You could contour with this, I suppose. Not the best contour shade for me, being so warm, and then you can finish with that. So that's what I love about these palettes, and when they're in quads, they're just a little bit smaller to travel with compared with the 6 pans, and very, very good. So, well, I can definitely use both, and I definitely will. I just had so much makeup to review this month. I haven't gone back to these, but they're definitely staying in my must use more pile to the right of me. So I looked at the Chanel Les Beige collection, and I picked up one of the blush and highlight options, and I got it to go with the eyeshadow quint that launched with it, which was this, and together these just didn't work at all, which was the bit that annoyed me about it, because this one is so warm and almost orange that this just does not work with it. And I tried them on together because I was doing the review, and it sort of put me off this a little bit because they clash so badly. But then the next day I tried this on its own with a different look, and I thought it looked so much better. So my recommendation is don't ever try it with corals. It just doesn't work, which would make sense, but I don't know why they launched it with it really. But these two together, even though that this is quite gold for my complexion, I think it's really, really, really beautiful actually. More so than I was expecting. The pink is a lovely shade of blush, and then the gold on its own is a bit much, but on top of the pink, which I'll show you now, so this is going over the pink now, so look at the pink, how it's changed. It's just transformed the look of the pink, so it's almost like a blush topper. You could do it as a sort of blush topper all over, or just across the top, but you can see there that when you do that, it's not that intense gold that you're getting. So if I was just putting the gold directly onto my skin, I think not so good. On top of the blush, beautiful combination. This is a lovely, lovely summer duo. I was not expecting to get on well with, but I did. So for a fair-skinned, cool-toned person, gold highlights can often be way too much, but that one I think is lovely, and that's definitely one I want to use again this summer. Really, really pretty, and I love that one. So one really exciting launch for me this month was from Delilah. So Delilah launched a new coral set. Delilah hasn't had very many new launches of makeup for a while when it comes to sets, so I was really thrilled about this one. So this is the luster in the Pure Light Luster shade, and this is like a highlighter, and you can use it as a blush topper, or you could use it as a glowy blush. So there it is. It is such a beautiful, beautiful shade. And for me, if you were looking at that Chanel Les Beige collection and you were looking at maybe the coral option, personally, I would be going for that. I think it is gorgeous. Honestly, it is so pretty. Pretty on the eyes, pretty as a blush topper, pretty as a standalone glowy blush. But they also launched their liquid blush in a coral shade. So what was this called? It was Tiger Lily, I think it was called. Yeah, Tiger Lily. And this blush formula is really, really good. But with that highlighter on top, it makes a fabulous combination. So I did do a full review of this collection, as I did with everything I'm showing you, so you can see it in action. And I'm planning to do a shorts reel of this coral collection from Delilah soon as well, because it's so beautiful. There it is, look, blended out there, the liquid blush. So this topped with that, which I can show you actually. So here it is topped with this. Look at the way that transforms it. It's just beautiful. So that's on its own, and that's topped with the highlighter. And there was actually a lipstick, so we haven't moved into lipsticks, but because these all work together, I will show you the lipstick with it. So the colour of the lipstick, this is their Colour Intense lipstick. This one is Sienna. Beautiful, perfect shade for the summer. And this is so beautiful. I think it is the nicest sort of coral summer shade I've tried this year. So there it is, Sienna, and I'll just show you that blended out. It's a lovely formula, very hydrating. And there it is blended out. So these all together make a gorgeous, gorgeous coral look. They really do. So I'm going to literally leave these 3 together here on my desk to remind me to film a shorts reel of those, because I really need to do that and I can't wait to use them again. Honestly, I love Delilah, one of my favourite brands, and a UK brand that's quite small, and a lot of people haven't heard of them when I mention them, but they are so fabulous. Everything they do is vegan, cruelty free. They're very passionate about the environment. I really, really rate them, and they are lovely, lovely people to work with. And I do work with them because I'm an affiliate, so just for transparency. And also they've given me a discount code, my most generous discount code I've ever been given since starting this job. They gave me 22% for you. So my discount code is in the description box below, so you can see that, but I'll pop it on the screen for you now as well, so you can get 22% off anything from Delilah. So if you fancy trying any of those things, maybe not so easy to get your hands on if you're buying it outside of the UK, unfortunately, but I think you can buy some of the things outside. It's just worth having a Google to see if you can find them, but they are a lovely brand, they really are. And now onto another product that really wowed me, and that was this one from Haus. This is their Glassy blush, which I already knew I loved. It's a lovely formula, but they launched some new shades which are sort of blonder shades, so blush and bronzer together is the idea. Now I wouldn't use this as an all-over bronzer for me because it wouldn't work, but wow, as a bronzer slash blush for this area, this shade is absolutely beautiful. This is the lightest of the 4 that they released, and this one is Dusty Pink. The shade is Dusty Pink, but the name of it is Glassy Ginger. So I'll show you now what this one looks like. Again, I have reviewed this. It is such a gorgeous, gorgeous sort of summer blush, but I think it would also be a really nice autumn one as well. In fact, it's a good all year round. And for me, if you've got this, you could just contour, for me, because I'm fair, use my contour shade for contour, skip bronzer. Well, maybe not here. I wouldn't apply this colour here. Maybe use my normal bronzer here, but use no bronzer in this part of the cheek. So bronzer and blush all in one. It's giving you both of those. Plus it has a glassy finish, so you get quite a good shine from it, which means you can skip highlighter. So as a way of doing a quick look, but beautiful. You could also try this on the lips. I don't know how well that would work, but why not? But love, love, love. Highly, highly recommend. Beautiful shade. So something I've never reviewed before on my channel, which really blew me away, and I think it blew all of you away as well, was these blushes from Kiko Milano. These are the Juicy Fizz Fusion Glow blushes. I picked up all 3 shades of these. These are baked formulas, made in Italy, a fraction of the price that we pay for this sort of quality. You're not getting particularly fancy packaging. It's quite cheap, thin plastic with no mirror, but what you are getting is a very, very high quality, very substantial quantity as well of a baked blush with a formula, so much pigment, but a beautiful formula. I mean, look at that. I will swatch all 3 for you now, honestly. Every time I see it, just look at that. This one is the shade number 3, Mauve Your Passion. That was the deepest of the 3. The hardest one for me to get away with on my fair skin, but a light application, I could just about make it work. And these are effectively glowy blushes. You don't need highlighters with these. This one is number 2, and this one is Rose Riviera. Look at that. And the number 1 shade is Golden Mocha. So this one and number 2 are probably the better ones for my skin tone, but I think that pretty much all skin tones are covered with these. It just depends how much you apply of them, but just look at them. Use them on the eyes, use them on the cheeks. They cover you for your highlighter as well. They are absolutely sensational. And this really did make me think about looking further into Kiko Milano. And I did ask all of you, would you like me to review them and give you a full face of Kiko Milano? So I am definitely going to do that because the response was quite strong that you'd like that. So look out for that. When I can slot it in, I will definitely get that done at some point. And I can't wait to try more from them. Very affordable. And incredible, incredible. If everything is this good, wow, I'm going to be a top fan of Kiko. Now another blush. I told you this was the month of blushes. This is why it's been so difficult to test out and decide on favourites and things. But I tested out the Cherry Custard from Laura Galla. So this is a new shade in the baked formula. Again, a baked formula that's baked in Italy with that sort of marbled finish. You can get this in satin finishes, matte finishes. This one, is it a satin? Yeah, this is a satin. I do prefer the satin because you get that glow. This is extremely pigmented as well. I had to be very careful with this one. It doesn't look that strong when you see it now, but it is very pigmented. Again, it's gorgeous in the same way the Kiko ones are. and again you're paying a lot less. They've always got good deals on the Laura Geller website. In fact, over the bank holiday weekend they had 65% off, and I did buy a huge amount, so I look out for a big Laura Geller video coming soon, because I'm going to try all their marbled products. They've got a marbled blush stick as well, cream blush stick, marbled lipstick, and marbled blushes. So I love marbled, so I went for the marbled products. I can't wait to try more. But that's beautiful. It's got great longevity. Just, it's a glowy blush. You don't need a highlighter, just like with the ones from Kiko. Gorgeous. Very strong for my skin tone. I think I prefer a lighter one for me personally, but that doesn't mean I didn't really like that shade, Cherry Custard, and the name sold it. And I think this might be the last blush that I reviewed in May. How have my cheeks survived May? Because I did actually go through the full Dior collection, which was all blush, which I'm not showing you in this video because it came so late in May. It will be in my end of month review for June. But slight spoiler alert, there is absolutely no way I'm not going to be giving it a good review and telling you it's amazing, because I cannot stop using those Dior blushes. But I will stop talking. They will be in my end of month review for May. So my last one to show you is these from By Terry. I picked up 2 shades of these. These are the Tan to Tea powder blush. So these have got quite a sort of shimmery finish. I think they're about 6 shades. I picked up Pink Passion, this one, and this one is Melon Melody. And probably out of all the ones I've shown you, these are the ones that I've sort of forgotten the quickest and not really wanted to rush back for. They're just okay. They work. They're just sort of fairly standard blushes. Nothing to write home about particularly. Here's the formula. So there's a little bit of a glow, not a massive amount, not like the ones I've just shown you from Laura Geller or from Kiko. They're supposed to be quite glowy, but they're not that glowy really. They do sit in a much more powdery way. They're just okay. You can see I'm just really not very... I can't say they're bad blushes because they are good blushes. They're just not very exciting and they don't stand out against the rest. So I wouldn't personally be saying run out and get these, but obviously that's entirely up to you. And then looking at highlighters, not so many of these luckily. I tested out 2 of the new Prada highlighters. There were 3 launched from Prada, and I tested out the first and the second shade, so I didn't get the third deepest one. So I got the pink, which was this one. The one I was most looking forward to, the one that looked like a really pinky shade on the website, but once I got it, it really isn't much of a pinky shade at all. So that was what really bothered me with that. It did not look anything like the sort of pinky shade highlighters that have been launched. And in all honesty, I wouldn't have bought it if I thought it was going to look like that. How that can be described as a pink, I really don't know. It's just more of a sort of almost golden finish. And I'm showing it to you like this because I got these when they first launched, and they first launched as refills on the Selfridge website. So I picked up 2 refills, but I also picked up, as you saw earlier in the review, the horrible green setting powder, which has now gone in here, and it's now going to live in there with that pink highlighter, which I don't think I'll be using again. I just don't like it. So I'm going to keep those in case you want to see them for comparison, but I think they're going to go away into that section of my room. But the one I really like, which I popped into the case for the green powder, so that's just something to be aware of. These cases you can just push through underneath where you have the triangle here, so if you just push there and the powder comes out. So that's something that is quite good about these. You can buy a case the first time and then you can refill them. So I was quite pleased that my case came in handy, and I now have a case for the highlighter, which I really did like quite a lot, which was the champagne shade. So this was a very, very mature skin friendly formula. It looks like an incredibly natural glow. This shade suits me a lot better than the pink. I think the better way of looking at these is they are 3 different shades for different skin tones. So this champagne is fair to light, the pink one is just a good highlighter for medium to tan, and then the deepest one is tan to deep. That's the way I would view these 3. Don't see that middle one as a true pink, because it isn't. This is a very, very, very lovely natural formula. You don't see it. It just disappears into the cheeks and you can't really see that you're wearing a highlighter, but you've got a beautiful glow. So it's very, very, very complimentary, very flattering, and particularly good if you have mature skin. So it's a very pricey highlighter. I'm not going to say it's the absolute best, but it is definitely one of the nicest formulas. It's a very soft, almost velvety to the touch, almost like I've got cream on my fingers. It's very, very, very lovely soft formula and super easy to apply. You can have this one down the nose and on the cupid's bow. You can have it in the inner corners of the eyes, under the brows. It works for all of those things really nicely. It's a really good highlighter, very, very good, and it's currently sitting on my desk for more regular use. I don't know how long it'll stay there, but I like it enough to keep it there for now and put my other ones away, which means I like it a lot. And now for the highlighter of the century from, believe it or not, NYX. You might have seen me talk about these in several videos. I've put up lots of shorts with me trying these on. I cannot believe how much I adore these. I didn't buy them with the intention of using them as highlighters though. What originally drew me to these was because of this shade. So if you know me, you know I have quite an obsession with green eyeshadow. So when I saw this one, Butter Mint, I thought I've got to try that just for an eyeshadow, thinking there's no way this would work as a highlighter on the cheeks. And this is one of my most complimented looks I have ever done, is when I had this on my eyes, but it also worked on my cheeks. These formulas are just absolutely incredible. They are so good on the eyes. Every time I use one of these, I just put a bit of bronzer in the crease, this all over the eye, a tiny bit on the cheeks, and it works as a highlighter. I don't know how, but it does. I wouldn't put it on the cupid's bow or down the nose or anywhere else, but it does work with a very light touch as a highlighter, and it is stunning. But I also picked up at the same time, because I'm also equally obsessed with Lilac, the number 1 Butter it's called, and this is my most complimented eye look, I would say, even more than the Mint. They're two looks that most people have said, what have you got on your eyes? And it's been these two. So again, gorgeous on the eyes, but this one again worked on the cheeks. I don't know how. And then this one, which I was going to skip because this is the deepest shade in the whole collection, and it's described as Butter Black, I think it's called. Yeah, Butter in Black. And on the website I thought, oh, I can't get that. There's no way that's going to work. This must be for the deepest skin tones. But when I saw it in a different picture, this is so shifty. Look. And again, I did a video with this one on my eyes and I got so many questions. What have you got on your eyes? I need to know what you've got on your eyes. So look at that there, and look at the shift. And surprisingly, I could even get away with this on my cheeks as well. I don't know what's going on, but I can. So I've tried the pink as well, which is probably my least favourite of all of them, but it's still stunning. So when I say least favourite, it's not because it's bad, it's just because those first three are just incredible colours. So this one is called You Butter Work. And there it is. How stunning is that? And I have shown all of these in videos. You can see these in shorts, or you can see me trying on one of these in another video, and they might just be popping up in another video. We'll have to wait and see, but I just might need to use these all the time. The only one I haven't tried yet, which will probably be my next shorts reel with a NYX highlighter, because I have to do another one as soon as I've got one more to try. This one is called Glaze It Butter. Yeah, Glaze It Butter, and this is gold. But it's a nice gold. I think it'll work for me. It's got enough sort of colour in it. It's almost like a peachy gold. There, look at them all. I genuinely think this is highlighter of the year, maybe the best highlighter ever, because of what I'm doing with it, because it's so sensational on the eyes, with a bit of bronzer in the crease, like I said, and then a dark eyeliner, and it gives you the most fantastic eye look. But then you get the matching cheek look. And the pink one is a sort of glowy blush shade as well, but oh, they are just insanely good. I love them. They are £10 each, and I got mine buy two get one free. I mean, come on, £20 for 3 of these, and I absolutely adore them. Yes, the packaging is very basic. We're not getting a mirror. I could not care less. I would like to be able to pop them all out and put them in a palette, and they'd be my wow palette. A bit like, they remind me of using the Danessa Myricks Lightworks palette. That's how much they give me joy. I love them. So now we're going to move on to eyeshadows, which isn't quite as long, but the eyeshadows this month have been the best eyeshadows that have come out all year. Some of the best eyeshadows ever. It has been such a good month for eyeshadows, but I'm going to sign off now, and you'll see me in my next outfit because I need to take a break. So I'll see you for that. Editing me here. Having seen the length of this video so far, I think I'm going to have to split this month into 2 parts. So I'm actually going to sign off here and I will straight away tomorrow film part 2. So you'll get part 2, which will upload the day after you see this one. So hopefully I will see you for part 2. And if you have enjoyed this video, I would be ever so grateful if you did hit the like button. And if you're not subscribed, I would love it if you did subscribe to my channel. But if you already are subscribed, you're at the end of another video. And I am absolutely grateful to all of you. I really, really am. And I do hope to see you all again for my next video, which will be part 2 of this mammoth review. Take care, everybody. Bye.